you could be, perhaps, as a local authority officer or member, there might be a way for you to be able to do that as well, as a charismatic and dynamic individual. So I'm going to leave it there. That's quite enough from me. What I would like to do is to hand you over to Peter Vadasz. Peter was the Mayor of Gussing for 20 years, recently stepped down. We spent an afternoon yesterday. I said I'd show Peter the sights of Newcastle. He said, I'd like you to take me to two things. The first is the castle. And I said, is there a castle in Newcastle? I wasn't the best guide, I'm afraid. But I'm going to hand over to Peter, who's going to tell you about the remarkable transformation that he has led as a politician within a local authority in Gussing in Austria. Peter.
When I was elected mayor of Gussing the first time in 1992, I was facing a lot of problems. We were living along the so-called Iron Curtain for more than 45 years, and we had, of course, a lack of jobs. And if this functions, if this works, I will tell you more. Okay, now this is Gussing. A lack of jobs, many people leaving the area because they saw no perspective, they saw no chance for the future. And I sat down with a couple of friends and I said, okay, let's not do what most Austrians do, sit down and complain how poor we are, but let's sit down and see what we've got and what we could do with what we have. So very first, 1993, the idea was born, why not look for something we have abundantly in our region? And that was, of course, wood. And one of my friends who had dealt with renewable energy before said, why not try to substitute oil by wood? And I said, can we do it technically? He said, yes. And I said, okay, let's sit down, let's do it. And here you have the area we live in. By the way, this is the best picture I can supply you with about Gussing. And if you ever wonder where to spend your holiday, okay, this is the location. And you will understand we are about 8 kilometers away from the Hungarian border, and over 45 years we amassed lots of problems. And so when the Iron Curtain finally fell in 1989, we moved into the heart of Europe again, and that was, of course, a precondition for everything we wanted to do. In 1995, Austria joined the European Union, and that was the turning point, because our region was declared Objective 1 area, and thus eligible for funding and financial grants on the part of the EU. And the second part that was very important too was that the national government in Vienna and our state government in Burgenland were forced to co-finance if they wanted to draw money from Brussels. And that was, of course, money we would never have received otherwise. So we said, okay, let's see what we can do. Let's hammer out projects. Don't wait for the EU to pour down money on you, but let's sit down and make projects. And so we sat down and said, okay, what can we do first? Rona mentioned it. Of course, the best way of using energy is to save it. And when I look around in Austria, we have so much to do in the field of insulation of buildings. Energy production from wood, agriculture, and the sun. And as we heard today already, there are different approaches to the production of energy. And we turned to wood, to agriculture, and the sun, and we founded the European Center for Renewable Energy. EEE, that's German, of course, the German abbreviation, because we wanted to exchange thoughts, technologies, know-how with other countries across Europe too. And this is what I like about the EU, that so many people across Europe are dealing with the topic of renewable energy today. And although there are different approaches to the topic, we all have the same target, the same aim: reduce CO2 emissions. And if I heard on a report on television the other day that in the meantime 95% of the scientists acknowledge that climate change is man-made, and we have to do something if we don't want to increase disasters in the future. And imagine today in Greenland they are growing potatoes because of global warming. And imagine the rise of sea levels and the impact on millions of people who are living along coastlines. So we can't just sit back and say, okay, let our children and grandchildren take care of it. No, we have to act now. And that's why I'm glad to travel across Europe and that I have come here, because I know there are quite a lot of people in Great Britain too who know of the urgency of this problem. First of all, we made a survey. We sent students into homes and asked people, what are you heating your home with? And they said, oil, what else? And at the very beginning, it was very tough because the price of oil in the late 1990s was very low. And we knew we couldn't be more expensive than oil. People wouldn't buy it. So in the 90s, we had a hard time keeping up the price of oil, but at the beginning of 2000, oil prices started to rise, and we started to applaud. And if you look at the graph, you see what oil prices did and where our district heating remained. Because one of the first things we did was to build a district heating plant, and we decided in the town council that all public buildings would be connected to it. But at the same time, we knew we had to create a network. And this is the network we did because we need demonstration plants. People coming to Güssing do not ask what's written on your papers, but where are the plants? How do they operate? Research and development. Research, a key to our future problems. Advanced training for people. We render services. And then something developed we never dreamed of, and we call it ecotourism, because every year between 15 and 20,000 people come to Güssing to look at our plants and to convince themselves that what they have read or heard is actually true. It all started with the district heating in 1996, and as I said before, we decided in our town council, and I must add, a mayor in Austria is a very powerful person, especially if he has got a majority in his town council. and we simply decided we will connect all public buildings, schools, kindergartens, town hall, to this district heating. We started out with a stove with 3 megawatts. Today we are at a capacity of 42 megawatts. Today people are angry if we cannot connect them to it because they're too far away. And whenever we had 50% of residents of a street who were willing to connect, we called a meeting of all the residents, and I told them, look, I have to open up this road because we want to lay the pipes into it, but I do it only once because I have to renew this street again. If you want to connect, it's okay. If not, we offer you a link to your home. So we offered them links to their home, and most people accepted. Most people. And this was probably one of the more intelligent ideas we had, because we see now that this was the right way to do it. On the other hand, for small parts of our town, we constructed this kind of district heating. You have a stove inside, okay. But we covered the roof with solar panels. And during the summer, from May to September, sometimes October, these solar panels provide all the hot water people need. For small villages, around 250, 300 inhabitants, an ideal solution down in the southeast of Austria. And then, of course, the cooperations. And that is what I like about Newcastle, that here at the university there are people dealing with that topic and maybe providing the basis for future actions. Research. I'm a fan of research because I saw what research can do. And then we met Professor Dr. Hermann Hofbauer from the Technical University of Vienna. And he said, why stop at producing heat? Why not go into the more intelligent product, and that is electricity? And I said, okay, but is there a plant? No, there's no plant, but I got a prototype at my university. And I said, okay, let's see what it is. Now, I'm not a technician, but I can tell you it is gasification. Gasification with wood chips. And, of course, we knocked at doors, because he said this technology has never been implemented. So let's just try and get some money from the federal government, from the state government, and other institutions to build the first plant with this type of gasification in Güssing. And we did. I'm not quite sure. Oh yeah? Mm-hmm. Sorry. If you look into the back, right here, I don't know why this picture isn't on. This is this type of gasification plant we have in Güssing. And you know what research did? They found out that from the very clean wood gas, you cannot only produce heat, but electricity, synthetic natural gas, and fuels. And this was, of course, sensational. And many people from all over the world came to Güssing to look at this plant. And we said, okay, here is another plant. This is what I call methanization plant. And this is the one that produces synthetic natural gas from wood. And we got a small filling station there where you could fill up your car. And the third step was research. The research institute we call Technicum. And here, in this lab, we have about 20 scientists working around the clock on products from wood gas. And one of them is synthetic fuel. And we got two lamps. One with synthetic fuel and one with fossil fuel. And you produce a very, very fine fuel which has only 1/3 of the particles of fossil diesel, for example. Another product of science, of research. And then we said, why go it all alone? Why not invite other communities around Güssing to join in? And so we created what we call the Eco Energy Land, a new brand for the region. In the meantime, there are 18 communities which all have different kinds of raw material, of resources. And they all join together in one big resources pool. And the idea has fascinated many mayors, many other responsible people in politics, because this is the way to form networks in the future, inviting communities to cooperate in the field of energy production. And here you have this biomass power plant I was looking for just a couple of minutes ago. And here you have it. Heat, electricity, synthetic natural gas, and gasoline from wood gas. Here is the methanization plant. You have the gas filling station. My heart is bleeding every time I watch these people fill up their car and paying 22 to 23 euros, while others pay 60 and 70 euros. And this is what a Swiss university sent us. And I want you to look at this graph about CO2. And then the last graph, they call it metapur. And that's synthetic natural gas. And the Swiss say, look at the difference in the output of CO2. And of course, that was the forest. Now let's turn to agriculture. Again, we had a heated debate. You may have had it too, about corn. We're using up corn for the production of fuels. The poor women in Mexico, in the south of Austria, cannot bake their tortillas anymore because we are using up all the corn. No, research, new technology, grass and clover. And I guess you know clover? There's a saying in Austria, when you find a 4-leaf clover, you will be lucky all of your life. Now, if I look at the gentlemen, I suppose they found a 4-leaf clover when they married. I hope so. Okay, another. Resources in the country. And of course the sun. Solar energy, the most powerful of all resources in the world. And it will last, if experts are right, another 3 trillion years. The first car I bought for the town of Güssing, we call it Ökostadt, Eco Town Güssing electric car. And of course, bicycles, scooters. If we are to reduce our CO2 emissions decisively, I think that solar energy will be one of the answers. Of course, energy storage still the big problem. And many scientists are working hard on solutions for it. So what we do in Güssing is rather simple. We use the sun, we use the forest, and we use agriculture to produce heat, electricity, synthetic natural gas, and in small quantities, fuels. Now, we are not at the end of the journey yet. We still got a long way to go, but look what kind of impact it had on this little town, about 4,000 people. We produce 85% of the heat for private homes and industry, 200% of electricity, and we have a capacity of 400 tons of synthetic natural gas per year and 58 tons per year fuels. So we are at the very beginning, but in the field of heat and of electricity, we are almost self-sufficient, or in the case of electricity, more than double the electricity a 4,000 people town needs. So how did we do it? There you go. The district heating plant, about 8 million euros. We received from the EU, from the national, from the state government, about 33%. We earned about 33% through connecting fees. Because if you buy an oil stove, you have to pay too. And of course, then came the most touchy of all questions. The town would have to get a bank loan, and this bank loan, about 1/3 of the sum, is of course liability. And if this project had failed, ladies and gentlemen, I would certainly not stand here today. So it was a risk, yes. But it was a calculated risk. And all the other things like biomass power plant, like steam turbine, and so on, I did not participate because they were pilot projects that had never been done before. But research, the key, and Güssing has become a center of research. And that's what makes us a little bit proud. And you may say, so what is it all about? Now look here. We have attracted more than 50 companies. We have created more than 1,100 new jobs over the past 15 years. And believe me, the added value for the community is the production of energy. Any company coming to your town, to your city, needs energy. And if you tell them, okay, you come to the mayor, you come to the city asking for the price of energy. My question was, how many jobs do you create? And we can talk about the price. Of course, I cannot tell you, and I will not tell you, the quarrels and the arguments we had with big power companies. They asked me if I had gone nuts. What the hell do you think you're doing? We are the producers of energy. And I said, yes, you can go on, but we will produce energy too. And this is what it all means to communities. And believe me, there are three things which are important to everyone. First of all, to produce clean and affordable energy for your people. You create jobs because you attract business. And third, you educate your people, and especially the young ones. The young ones grow up with renewable energy. They grow up with what we've got there, and they are the best champions you can think of for renewable energy. And these are the three pillars which I think are most important to what we did. Oh, by the way, I must mention it, we cut CO2 emissions by 70%. Here are the prices we pay for raw materials. And I would like to show you this consumer price for district heating. We have a price for fossil fuel currently of about 12 cents, for natural gas about 10 to 12 cents, and for district heating 8 to 10 cents. If you are connected to district heating in Güssing today, you pay between 20 and 25% less than if you would heat your home with natural gas or with oil. And believe me, this is an argument you can hardly beat. The future, home power stations. Banks are already now interested in supplying you with a solar energy power station, because we have special feed-in tariffs for electricity produced from the sun. The bank is financing your solar power station at home and gets in return the feed-in tariff. I think it's a fair deal. Our aim is it to have as many people as possible produce their own energy and, of course, remain connected over the grid. So, what is it all about? Every one of you, every one of your people at home pays for energy. The question is, where does the energy come from and where does the money go? Does your money go to Saudi Arabia? Does your money go to Russia with love? Why not have it stay in the region, creating new jobs, supplying your population with clean energy from resources not further away than 15 kilometers, maybe 20 kilometers. So, forget the import and start your own production. We have the technology we call biomass gasification. And there are so many things to do, as I said before, for our scientists. and our researchers. Here are future technologies we are talking about in Güssing. Development of the dual fluid systems, of biofuels, topic hydrogen, of course, we've heard it today. Austria is in a very nice position because we produce more than 60% of our electricity from hydropower. Gasification and gas cleaning, zero emission technologies. Ask your technicians, ask your technical universities, ask your universities to help you. They will gladly comply. So, almost every region across Europe has got its renewable resources. May it be the sun, the forest, agriculture, may it be waste. Your large cities and every large city across the world produces thousands of tons of waste every day. Why not turn a large part of it into energy? Again, research. And of course, we received some awards. We did not go unnoticed. We were a little bit proud of 2005 when we received one of 100 Ecotech awards in Japan. We were, of course, Austria's Global Award. We received Austria's Global Award in 2005. And of course, we have visitors, as I told you, between 15 and 20,000 a year. Here's one of them. For all the ladies who may not be able to get their eyes off Arnold Schwarzenegger, the elderly gentleman on the left is me. Okay, this is the European Center for Renewable Energy. We are cooperating across Europe with other countries, common projects, and all in search of solutions. And ladies and gentlemen, the very beginning of Güssing, believe me, was a little bit like blood, sweat, and tears. Today, you cannot brush aside the topic of global warming and, of course, of climate change. And whatever different your approach may be to this topic, you're on the right track, believe me. Of course, you need leaders. May it be political leaders where politics has a great impact, or private leaders who say, okay, we will, not we may, we might, we could, we maybe, but we will. It's to a very large extent a question of willpower, and take the people along. People are grateful. You will run into opposition. You will run into criticism. You will run into skepticism. But I tell you, stay the course. And I hope that all of you who are committed to this topic will have success in whatever they do. And all I can wish you is good luck for the future, and thank you for your attention.